All right, and we are live. What's up? What's up, y'all in YouTube land who are watching us live? What's up, everybody listening to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and other fine places that are promoting the Embodied Mind podcast? My name is Prince. I've got Ash on. This is another week of the Embodied podcast, and we are talking about mental stuff, the mind, and your identity. And we're also going to be talking about probiotics this week. But that's enough for me. I got my host on, Ash Higgs. How you doing, Seafood Ash?
Ready to do it. So this I just yesterday I submitted my last case study for PN2. So there's like 2 weeks left in the course, but at this point I'm pretty much like officially done. So I should have passed the course by now. Based on like the study requirements, I think like in the next 2 weeks I have like a few lessons to go back and finish up. But man, it was an awesome experience. But at the same time, I'm ready to be moving on, and like I'm going to be opening up my accepting clients, my coaching clients, and I'm going to be, that program will end up starting on November 28th, and I'm going to be opening that up for pre-sale here pretty soon, next couple of weeks. So if anybody that is a listener or a viewer of the live streams on YouTube, and you guys are ready to jump on board with some coaching, I think both you and I are ready to start taking on some new clients, right?
Yeah, but let's backtrack because I know what PN is, but the listeners don't know anything about precision nutrition. So can you tell them about precision nutrition and then what the level one lead needing coach is, and then the difference between a level one and a level two coach?
All right. Well, so PN is short for Precision Nutrition, which was founded by Dr. John Berardi, and was kind of the program was co-developed between him and Krista Scott Dixon, and I wouldn't say universally, because no matter how awesome you are, there's always going to be somebody that's hating on you. But pretty generally throughout the health and fitness world, the precision nutrition program is and certification is kind of considered to be like the gold standard of coaching. Um, and so I finished my PN1 last year, and then I was lucky enough to get pulled into the PN2, which is like the master level program. So the PN1 is kind of like study at your own pace and doesn't have like the same level of like one-on-one um, sort of interaction with a mentor and that kind of stuff. Like I said, PN2 is like the master level coaching certification, and that has like it's a year-long mentorship as part of you're part of a cohort, but you go through daily lessons and habits and everything. I mean, it's basically like the PN approach applied to um, their coaching certification. So you have bi-weekly case studies that are due, quizzes, the whole nine yards. So it really, I would have to say that actually, if it wasn't for PN2 and the fact that I got into the PN2 program, we probably wouldn't be doing this podcast right now, actually, because it was like a lot of my experience through PN2 that kind of like got me to a point where I was confident and comfortable enough to be able to come on and do these live streams and do the show.
Cool.
So
Cool.
you're doing your PN1 right now, yeah?
Yeah. I'm gonna. Well, right now I started going through the material, and then the online trainer academy started, and the first like lesson is, hey man, finish what you started. Whatever you're doing right now, block all of that off and just focus on getting through OTA. As soon as I finish up OTA, and the thing I like about OTA is like if you do it the way you're supposed to, then you're building up your online training business. Or, well, really, the lesson I just finished is the best is to have a hybrid model. So I'm working on opening up the garage gym in conjunction with getting up the Urban Acolyte Academy, as I'm calling it. Actually, I'll tell you about this offline, but there's going to be more than just the Urban Acolyte Academy. I have some other things, some stuff projects I want to work on with Samiko that we've been talking about for 5 years now. So a project with her that's mainly, I think, going to be focused on women. But all of that is going to be through things that I'm like learning to build into my business with OTA, and then my putting together my programs, my top tier package for now is going to be like the lean eating coaching. So I won't even be able to offer that until I've completed a PN1. So like I said, that's going to be like at the top of my list as soon as I complete OTA, have my website all built out, my programs and packages, all the systems in place for that. But, like I said that, but, nutrition coach, once you have some knowledge, it's going to filter into everything else. So any other people are listening are like, oh, I got to do Prince's top package to do PN coaching. No, people will get it, but and this is something I want to talk to you about. We don't have to do it here, but later, especially as you get closer, it's like the way I understand the coaching, like how much is involved, like how involved do you want to be? And that's why I said it would be the top tier, because it requires more time for me, as
Right.
far as, okay, I don't want to give away too much of the program, but okay, well, we'll just say, okay, I think you need to detox. And this is not part of the program. I'm just pulling this off the dome. I think you need to detox. And I think a great way for you to detox and get more probiotics into your system, as we're talking about probiotics on this episode, is you need to drink a jar of kombucha. And to save money, I want you to learn how to brew your own. That way you can make it and it'll be a few pennies on the dollar every day. Do you think you can do that? On a 10-point scale, how confident are you that you can drink a jar of kombucha every day that you brewed yourself once a week? Well, I think I can, so sitting down and having to do that with somebody on a regular, semi-regular basis, to me sounds like something that's pretty intensive. I don't know once you get through if it really has, where it's like, okay, we're checking in every week, every few days. And just, I'm saying all of that live with you guys so you understand that it's not, oh, we're just typing something up and sending it out, doing distance coaching. It really is in depth and sitting down, getting to the nuts and bolts, the meat of what someone's issue is. And even something that I didn't feel good about last week when I went on that whole spiel about German volume training, and the guy that said he wanted to put on 10 pounds of muscle, was right. I was saying all of that, but what I was really, if I was really having that conversation, it's like, why do you want to gain 10 pounds? What? And Ash, you kind of hinted on that, but I was just like, go do this and let's move on. This is what I tell you to do. Let's go. But in a real coaching situation, it's like, why do you want to gain 10 pounds? Is it for your confidence? Is it, oh, well, I want my wife to look at me differently? With Stick's case, he had a video shoot coming up and he's like on this whole fitness kick. And it's like, well, I've been rapping about health and fitness and going vegan in the Black community for like 2 years now. Like if I still look the same, then people are going to be like, I don't see any, like, I don't want to be a skinny vegan, dog. Like, I like your music. I like this whole workout thing that was his album, was called The Workout, but you look the same. Like, where's the benefit? So it's like, okay, I got to get jacked now and look different 2 years later. So that
Right.
was his motivation to gain the weight and put on more muscle. So it's like getting down to the why. Why are you doing this? What is the motivation? Because then you can determine whether or not, someone's really going to be able to comply with that. Is it just, well, I want to do this just for this vacation, and then after that, I don't care. Well, shit, man, just go on the vacation, enjoy yourself, right? Is it really
Right.
that important? You're going to kill yourself for 3 months to look good for this one event and then not care, because you're not gonna, it's not gonna be a lifestyle change. That's the case.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Or you might use outside things, diet pills or crack,
right.
steroids.
Yeah. A little bit of crack will get you lean real fast.
Yeah. Go meth.
Right. Um, well, I mean, that's kind of like a nice segue, like into that first topic that I wanted to talk about you with this week. Since, I kind of wanted to bring it a little bit more back to, we've been focused a little bit on the physical a lot lately, and I kind of wanted to bring it back around to the concept of, you know, the mental side of things, is mind and the body together, and which is the whole underlying concept of the Embodied Mind podcast, right?
Yeah.
And so it's uh, the full fancy term is psychoneuroimmunology. So it's the the effect of the mind on the body, right? And so somebody had turned me on to this article that got published in Neuroscience News, and it was the title of the article was "The Real You is a Myth," and so there's some pretty interesting stuff in there. I mean, the whole thing focused on basically like fake memories.
Mm.
Yeah, and just for the people that are listening. So if you guys want to check it out, we'll put the link in the video description below. So as always, you can check the video description below, or if you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher, we'll put the link in the show notes. And but the idea of the whole thing was that and it kind of ties into like one of the first things when you're working with somebody is that you want to get a sense of like what their narrative is, like what their self narrative is. And because it's like the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves have like a massive implication for our overall health and wellness, and how we even like what kind of weight we hold on to, or what kind of weight we don't hold on to, and that kind of thing. So and the first thing that I was thinking of, because this kind of like overlaps with some of that thing that you're doing right now, um, as a day job. And so I'm not sure how much of that like you're able to discuss in this setting. So it's like you don't have to go into any of that. But what I was thinking was interesting was that you know this kind of there's a certain segment of the population today that kind of, I mean, they definitely sort of identify with that victim mentality, where it's like they're oppressed by everybody, and everything is somebody else's fault, and uh so like this whole concept of like as I was reading through this article, that was the first thing that I was thinking of. I was like, man, this is like has a lot of implications for people who think that they have been abused, but it's all just fake memories. Now, I'm
Have
not saying
you
that.
I'm sorry, what were you about to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, obviously, that obviously, abuse does happen. So I'm not trying to like discount. I'm not trying to discount like everyone's story. So I just want to put that out there right now. But um, it just kind of where I'm going with this is like, again, like I said, is like the underlying narratives that we tell ourselves that help, and that what this article was talking about is how um you know a lot of times we kind of pick and choose our memories, or even we'll make up fake memories, or we'll omit things that don't align. We'll omit memories that don't align with our current self narrative. And but especially considering like your background, I wanted to hear some of your thoughts about the topic.
Well, have you read Jordan Peterson's book? I can't remember. I somehow deleted my Audible off my phone, or because I was like sitting here trying to pull it up so I could see the name of it.
It was what, like 12 rules for life or something like that.
Yeah, because in it he talks about I don't remember, it was a psychotherapy. It was like some form of therapy where they like it was like this thing where they like would trace everything back. Oh, well, this problem was stemming back to this thing that happened in your past, right? So all of these therapists were like tracing things back to basically the source of everyone's problems where they were molested when they were a child, right? And it was this like thing that was the trend that psychoanalysts were using, I think, in the 80s. Everybody who was messed up in the 80s got molested when they were a kid in the 70s or the late 60s. So the problem, people had not been molested. So this lady was so convinced that her father molested her that she like it just like destroyed their relationship. She's like accusing him, oh, I know you did. And she had like these vivid memories. But when they really sat down, the therapist planted all this stuff in her head by like she had her so convinced it never ever happened. And
Right.
that was immediately what I thought about. As far as like what I do, we get fake reports, we get people that's why like even when something's reported, and when I was going back through training, right, and I was telling the people in my training cohort, I said, look, I was like, we accept everything as if it's the truth. I was like, but you're gonna learn once you start looking at cases, some of this stuff is found not to be true. They can't prove it. I was like, it's just your job to take what you hear, document it, and don't get so emotionally attached, because that is just a version of the truth. Like I say on my Star Wars channel, Obi-Wan said, we'll find that many of the truths you cling to depend greatly on your own point of view. And I
Right.
mean, this article proves it. Even I sat through a forensic interview where this girl had I don't know if I can say this, but I don't give a shit. Um, she said her teacher like molested her, and they went through the forensic interview, and then like in the interview she was like, I made the whole thing up, I didn't like my teacher. Now her mom almost whooped her ass in the parking lot, like out, because she's like, I took off of work and I had to do this and this and this to get you here to the interview, and you lied about all of this. She
Right.
popped. It was about to be some child abuse going down in the parking lot that was going to be real.
Yeah, there was about to be some abuse. Yeah.
Yeah, like she was like, I'm gonna give you some real abuse to talk about. So, and I'm not saying everybody that cries wolf, but this whole Me Too movement is, I mean, like you said, some people they remember things a certain way. Because I'm like, hey man, I've been a kid, I've done some stupid stuff. It's somebody that could come up and Me Too me and make it sound real bad, not like since I've been an adult, I mean like middle school, high school, the stupid stuff you do, right? And they might see it one way, and I'm like, I mean, I ain't like rape nobody or nothing like that. Hell no. I'm just talking about, stupid games. I don't know, like down here we used to play this game. You touch somebody, you walk up and grab somebody's hand and touch them right here, and they close their hand, and they did it on what was that movie called, The Wood? And it's like you can't open your hand until you touch a girl on the butt, right? Which in today's world, oh my God, you have sexually assaulted something. And I'm like, so there might be somebody who now, because of 2018 and the Me Too, I was sexually assaulted in the 7th grade. Boys ran up and touched, and it's like, hey man, like I'm not giving a pass to that kind of thing, but kids are stupid, right? And we do stuff, man, if I don't do this, the cool kids are going to think I'm lame and nobody's going to eat with me at lunch. Or I was getting bullied. Like, my name is fucking Prince. Like, I get bullied my whole fucking life. The thing is, I like to fight. I was always a small kid, and I'm like, please bully me. I'll beat you. But when I came back to live with my grandma, I was like, if I get in fights, I'm going to get in trouble. And I kind of had this thing like, I don't know what's going on with my parents' marriage. Like, I don't know, if I get in trouble, like you think irrational thing. What if my grandparents don't want me? So I was afraid to fight then, because it's like, if I get in trouble, I don't know, like, where am I going to live? Like, I don't, my grandparents might not want me here. I don't know if I got in trouble, because I would get straight A's and get in fights because somebody made fun of my name and I hit them with a math book and then go do my homework. I just wanted to be left alone, right? And so then it was like, well, if I don't do this thing, I'm going to get picked on. I'm going to get in a fight. And so it's like, so I got this whole narrative, and it's not have my family to like me, right? So, it's like people create these crazy stories based on their version of like where they are now and not where they were back then. And that was one of the things that the article addressed, where it was like the person that wrote it was like, well, I love my life and I get to travel all over the world, and then I love my job. Then they were like, or is it just the case because I just came back from all of these exciting places that now I love my job, and the way I remember it is I love my career, when there may have been times that I actually didn't like my career and I wasn't happy. So, truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view. And as we say in Ely Chin, you got to change with the change. Things change. And if you're only focused on the change and you look back, it's like, well, I'm looking back from this perspective and not from where I was at that point in time when that thing happened. Man, I've been drinking too much coffee.
Yeah, you're on fire today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kind of like, I think it just kind of underscores, like I said, some of these things that we're talking about, where it's like, the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves have a huge impact on, it's kind of like that internal versus external locus of control. It's like, if you have, like if you have that external locus of control, where it's like you see everything as like it's all only outside factors that influence, your life, and everything is out of your control, or you have like an internal locus of control, where it's like, you feel like that you're more in control of your life, or that, anything that you do, or your actions have more effect on your life than any outside factor does. And it's this sort of getting like slightly off topic from, well, I guess it's kind of coming back to, it's like, if we look at the idea of like that the real you is a myth, it's like, so then it's like, who, if we accept that essential premise as being true, then it's like, okay, now we can look at like, who do we want to be, and how do we tell ourselves a story that helps guide us to, to be that, it's like you can be whoever you want to be in a sense, at least as far as like you said, is if you want to, you're not stuck in your current situation. It's like, and the stories that you tell yourself about your current situation or about your potential future situation or whatever is going to have a massive impact on the outcomes. So it's like that's one of the, it's like you can't always, because of course we know that for sure that uh, we can't always control the outcomes, and there are things that are outside of our locus of control. Let's say the weather is like a perfect example, right? It's like, you can't make it rain if you want, or you can't make it snow or hotter or colder or whatever. It's like the weather's going to be what the weather's going to be based on, right, the time of year or whatever. So that's something that exists like outside of your control. But you have things that are within your control, like you can choose how to dress, you know, uh, based on the conditions. And then, but beyond that is also, again, it comes back to like that internal dialogue. So that's one of the things in coaching that we like to talk about, is like trying to reframe the discussion. So, instead of, you could say kind of like as perspective, right? It's like you can, if it's raining, and then you can kind of tell yourself, you can have like an internal dialogue that is like, oh man, it's raining and I was going to go out for a run or whatever. And that's going to, now my whole day is ruined and my workout is ruined. And that's why I can't get in shape, because everything is always, uh, or, you can tell yourself, you can have like a different dialogue, like, oh, well, at least it's not going to be hot today. And now I get to break out my new uh, waterproof like training gear or whatever it is that I get to wear this outfit. Like, not that I get excited about that kind of thing, but I'm thinking from like a, maybe like from a more female point of view, where it's like, hey, oh, I have this outfit that I just bought for when the weather got colder, and now I get to wear that. So is it talking about like things that you get to do, rather than looking at something as like something that you have to do or something that's happening to you.
Yeah.
Um, so all of that kind of all of those things play a role.
Yeah. Or it did rain this morning when I woke up, and I said, "Oh well, now I get to see how it's going to look when I record myself standing in the garage, because it's going to be cold. It's going to get cold while I'm still doing my 100 days challenge. So I want to
Right.
know, will I be able to get good video standing, in the garage?" So I got to do that this morning, and it's not 100 degrees in the attic, so I'm gonna record the video that I wrote last night while I was at work on the. Did I tell you about that? What I was writing?
No. No.
Oh, it's a kettlebell like workout video. So yeah, it was like I found an article on like the five best exercises for like training explosiveness, and I like went through and critiqued the exercises, and then I was like, here's the ones that I'll replace with that. So yeah, I'm gonna record that when we get done. I'm like actually excited. It's the first like straight workout video that's the first one I've ever written specifically for YouTube. So I'm pretty
Right.
excited about that.
Nice. That one's going to be available through your Golden Bell.
Yeah, there's a different Golden Bell training channel. I'm scrapping the other one because every time I upload those Kundalini videos, I get like all these subscribers from India who watch those videos and nothing else, and it like throws me off. And I'm like, I gotta have a channel that's like specifically just like uh fitness stuff. So
Right.
yeah, I'm kind of excited to launch a channel completely from scratch and see what it does. and just stick to one topic.
Right, right. Um, but yeah, just kind of like closing thoughts on on what we were talking about here with this article is that it's kind of bringing it back a little bit towards on some of the meditation stuff. Is that I mean that goes like right in line with sort of the fundamentals of at least of Buddhist meditation. I don't know, maybe you can bring it back to some of the Kundalini a little bit because I don't have the experience with that you do, but as far as like on the Buddhist meditation, where it's like that's I mean this article is sort of looking at things of what they talk about is anatta, which is not self, right? That there is no permanent, like there is no one permanent entity that you can define as as all a combination of the different cause and conditions, including like the thoughts and the mental process and the feeling and everything that come together like at that moment to give birth, you can say, to you in that moment, but that you that is there in that moment is not gonna persist, right? It's not permanent. It's going to change. And so that's why kind of one of the reasons why I thought, oh, let's talk about this. Let's bring it back a little bit more towards some of the philosophy that, definitely kind of informs both of our positions.
Yeah. Yeah. Since you you asked me about like the Kundalini perspective, really it's essentially the same. But something that popped into my head just now is like I'm wondering how my Kundalini training will mesh with Ely Chin and the stuff that what's the monk's name again?
Venerable Jiro?
Yeah, I really want to start attending those workshops if all this training stuff works
Right.
out. Just because like really the goal in Kundalini is to become more mindful is essentially the goal. Like the people talk about all the chakras and stuff, and I tune them out because I tend to hear a lot of BS. And really the goal is like you have these chakras, which really just correspond to um, uh, glands that produce hormones, those hormones. And it's really so that you can experience, so that you can become more aware of what's going on in the body, what's going on outside of in the outside world in the body. This thing is like we were talking about when we were out on South Mountain. This thing is happening to me, and I'm understanding that it's happening to me, and then I'm experiencing it, and it's really just I want to fully experience this and understand what's going on. This person cut me off. How does that make me feel? And what our response? What is my reaction to that? They cut me off. It raises my blood pressure. Oh, it makes my stomach hurt. How can I start to change that? Not just okay, I'm going to tell my mind not to react this way, but then I'm going to make my body not react that way too. And that's essentially what the training is. People, I'm all in favor of completely demystifying Kundalini because it exists in every tradition. I believe that the Buddha was an advanced Kundalini practitioner. It's like, okay, I've reached the height of this. Well, I mean, he literally was. He mastered like all these different schools of yoga. And he was like, okay, I mastered this, but I still don't feel any different. Okay, I'll go to this person. Okay, I'm still having this issue. What's the real problem now that I mastered all of these things? Okay, I'm just gonna sit down and pay attention to everything and get to the root of whatever the problem is. And that's essentially what he did. So and whether he acquired any magic powers or something, because we had a couple of Ely Chin brothers. At least they shared with me the article on like some advanced yogi. Their students may have had spiritual. There's like I haven't read the article or paper or whatever it was. But was like at the end, okay, he's still suffering.
Right. Right. Let me see. So, our viewer, Self Elevation, he's got a question about the Wim Hof method. Uh, so, Prince, I was watching something on the Tibetan monks, and they were speaking on the wind channels in the body. It reminded me of the Wim Hof method that you spoke of in meditation. Do you or I have any insights to add to this? So I think we just need to like clear up a little bit of. I mean, actually, there is some overlap between some of the stuff that Tibetan monks. As far as what he's speaking on specifically of wind channels, I'm not familiar with that. I haven't heard of that, but the Tibetan monks, they do have a particular type of training that they call tumo. And the tumo is basically where, I mean, it's like, I think Wim Hof got his stuff kind of independently, but it just happens to kind of overlap with the Tibetan tumo stuff. But I'm not 100% sure because, I mean, Wim Hof is like an old school hippie. And so he's been doing yoga and stuff like that since like way back in the day. So he may have actually had some some Tumo training, but I've never heard him like discuss it. So like I said, at least as
I've heard him talk about Tumo, but I don't. I mean, like there's because in Cap, there's Tumo in Cap, and it's different from the Wim Hof method. But then when I talked to Teo, he was like, that's how I first learned about Wim Hof was through Teo and Santiago 10 years ago. But there's like different methods of Tumo. And I know like Teo teaches at least 3 different methods, and one of them is the Tibetan tradition, but he I don't have access to that. And it's different. It's really different. Um, if I wanted to learn Tumo, I would go do Wim Hof, and then go find other people if you want to go farther with that. If you want like the spiritual side, if that's what you believe, but then you're gonna have to go kowtow in front of a monk for 10 years.
right,
Or you can just buy the Wim Hof method, and then if you have some energy stuff go on, keep playing with that, and hopefully you don't F yourself up.
right. Yeah, well, I mean, I've got that exposure workshop coming up, which I mean, it's not like actually. I mean, it's similar to Tumo and the Wim Hof method, because Brian McKenzie and the guys from Power Speed Endurance, they got their start actually with some of this exposure stuff from training with Wim Hof, and then after that, they got involved with Stanford University, I think, or UC Davis, I can't remember. Um, but they've done like a bunch of additional research and kind of fine tuning on their methods um, through that, and so now they're kind of taking their show on the road, and I kind of like their approach. I think let me just say that the way that they are approaching the whole thing resonates with me a little bit more. I've done a Wim Hof's 10-week course and a couple of some of his other material. And I got to a certain point with it, and I was just kind of felt like I think this is all there is to it. I need to um, look in another direction, and so that's when I kind of started looking at what like Brian McKenzie's doing and the guys with Power Speed Endurance and their Art of the Breath workshops and stuff like that. So yeah, so I have 2 weeks from record the day that we're recording this before I go do that one. That one's happening here in Phoenix on October 6th. So I'll be looking forward to that, and then being able to report back and share my experiences the following day here on the podcast.
Cool.
with you. And actually, I don't know. I'm not sure who's going to be there, but maybe I'll even be able to get a little bit of video for us to be able to post to either to Instagram or to the channel, here for an Embodied Mind podcast. I'll see what I can do.
Nice.
But yeah, that should be cool.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that because that'll probably be the night before, probably be my last day with the state. So it'd be a fun times.
So are you committed to that, or is that just something that you're still the decision that you're mulling over?
I'm committed, man. I've already lined up a part-time job and back with the school system, and I was like, I need time to sit down and plow through this material and get this hybrid training thing up and running. Only way it's gonna happen is if I just take the plunge.
Right.
I'm like, I need 2 weeks. I just need 2 weeks to sit down and not think about anything, not have anywhere to go. Get my website, or I won't even say get my website up, because I don't even feel like you need a website to run an online business. You just need a way to write, communicate with other people, and a place for them to pay. All you need is a place to communicate with people and a place for them to pay. That's it.
Right.
and you go from there, man. I gotta have my website up, and I gotta have this and that. Like, hey, man, I got YouTube.
Right.
That's the other thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw up a YouTube video, tell people about this Avengers Initiative group that I want to set up. I was telling you, it was like, that lady's got the group thing going, and she won't tell people how to do it unless you got to buy her course. I'm like, look, I already got the group plan. I just need to know how to get it started. It's like, you know what?
Right.
F it. I just figure it out as I go. Probably.
All right.
Probably a YouTube video on it if I sit here and look long enough.
Right. Well, I'm be looking forward to watching your progress with that. See. Yeah. And then this week, about 2 weeks ago, I think that another one of our listeners, Neil from the UK, he messaged me on Facebook, and he sent me an article that was, the article was originally, the one that he sent me was from iflscience.com about probiotics, but actually the news kind of like was going around the circuit a few weeks ago, where it was like there's the results of 2 new studies that came out on probiotics. And so I thought it was funny, like, that we were going to talk about that this morning. The first thing you did is you're sipping on your kombucha.
Yeah.
So we'll just talk about this one, just the one study in particular, which is the title of it is Personalized Gut Mucosal Colonization Resistance to Empiric Probiotics is Associated with Unique Host and Microbiome Features. And as always, we'll put a link to the original paper in the video description below, or the show notes, if you want to go and tackle that yourself. So just the highlights right here. The murine and human gut mucosal microbiome only partially correlates with stool. So let's back up right here. Murine means mice, or basically like rodent. So mice feature an indigenous microbiome-driven colonization resistance to probiotics. Humans feature a person-specific gut mucosal colonization resistance to probiotics, and probiotic colonization is predictable by pre-treatment microbiome and host features. So, basically, in this study, what they found was that some people respond to probiotics and some people don't, which I don't think should necessarily be like all that surprising. So this actually was really interesting because I just happened to be listening to Rob Wolf's podcast yesterday, his Paleo Solution podcast, and he does these little 20-minute like short like in between episodes with his wife, and they happen to be talking about the same thing. And he was talking about how, if they're going to test a new blood pressure medication, and they divide the group into like the control group and then the test group or whatever, that within the test subjects that are actually receiving the medication, you'll have like a third of the group that responds like with a 10-point drop in blood pressure. You'll have a third of the group that responds with a 20-point drop in blood pressure. And you'll have a third of the group that responds or that doesn't respond. You could say they have no change. They're non-responders. And so, we kind of have that understanding or expectation with drugs, but for some reason, we don't apply that same logic to food and to diet. So it's like that's why, I think there's probably both of us are on the same page, and that is why like neither one of us, like we were talking about this before, is like neither one of us identify with our diet. Like as individuals, you happen to be vegan. I happen to be more like towards the paleo end of things, like skewing low carb lately. But that neither one is going to be perfect for everybody, so it's like no matter what, you got to kind of look at as like outcome based decision making, right? So it's like you try something for 2 weeks and see how you feel on it, right? If you're feeling better, then continue on. If you're noticing things creep up or indications that maybe it's not working for you, because there's always going to be like that bell curve. There's going to be the half, from the peak. There's going to be like that first third that don't respond to being vegan, and then there's going to be the last third that really respond well to being vegan. And then there's going to be that kind of middle ground in there somewhere where it's like you might get mixed results on that diet or any diet, like vice versa. It could be like on keto or paleo or carnivore diet. That, there's always going to be that bell curve of like how you respond. So as
far as that, I think a lot of people, I think the majority are going to fall somewhere in the middle where it's just like, just eat real food. Like I actually respond better to being plant-based than vegan, because I was telling you back in the winter, like the stress that being vegan places on me.
right.
And so that's why like on most of my stuff, like Instagram says plant-based. Really, this might piss some people off, but I think if I ate meat like 1 or 2 days out of the week, that would probably be, for me, that would probably be the most, like, and that's not that meat is superior, just it, there's a satiation
Right.
thing. So like, just, because Samiko always jokes, she was like, one day you're gonna meet like the perfect vegan girl and you're gonna ruin it because you're gonna say, I really want a cheeseburger today. And you're gonna eat it.
Right.
She always says, I was like, now, I kind of like somebody who's paleo. And how's that gonna play out? She ate like a big fish the other day. And I'm sitting here looking like, man, I love seafood.
Right.
If I had been there, I would have ate
that. I've been trying to get myself into a little bit more into seafood, but not just necessarily like animal seafood. I'm actually what I would really like to do is be able to find like ocean vegetables that I like and that I could eat like regularly, just for the food source iodine. But I just can't do like, seafood just doesn't work for me.
The only
Uh,
place I've ever eaten like sea vegetables is Chinese. I think the Chinese spot we go to out there.
right.
Only, yeah,
Well, there's like I think like the Japanese and probably Okinawan cuisine probably feature most heavily
yeah.
on ocean vegetables. Um, but like I said, I mean, I just can't do that, like, and then, Dr. Rhonda Patrick, she talks a lot about using fish roe, fish eggs for your source, your dietary source of omega 3s. And, but I don't know.
Yeah, when we were talking about the whole fish oil supplement thing last week, I meant to say that what Rich Roll was advocating was to get it from algae because like the whole concern about the mercury content in
Right, right,
fish.
right.
So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean that's definitely a concern as well. Um, but anyway, so getting back to the the study on the probiotics. Um, so I got to be honest, and I mean I went through the study as carefully as I could, but I didn't quite give it like the full depth of review like what I wanted to do before the show because. Like I said, that this week was the last week for the precision nutrition case studies, and so that was due, and so I had to devote a certain amount of time to that. But so there could be things that I missed in my review of this particular study. But the one thing, what I so they were some of it was they were measuring like how much of the bacteria ended up in your stool. I think we've known for a long time that a lot of the bacteria doesn't make it to your stool. It's like the bacterial content of your stool ends up being is different than the bacterial population of your actual gut. And then even they reaffirmed it in the study that it's like the bacterial population or the microbiome in your gut varies by like the actual location of the gut tract. So it's like higher up in the gut tract is a different population by like especially like by ratio wise than what you're going to find lower in the gut like in the large intestine. And there's certain things that are in the large intestine that you don't want in the small intestine. So that's where like you end up getting things like SIBO, that small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So like I think we've talked about this a little bit before, of where it's like if if you're doing a lot of Splenda and some of the artificial sweeteners, what do you even have that stuff on your on your desk for all the time? What do you
well,
put it in?
um, man, we have all of this because my aunt was diabetic, and I just still have like I got insulin needles and everything over here.
Oh,
Somebody come in here and think I'm doing drugs,
right,
doing all these needles and
right.
syringes and stuff.
Skin popping a little heroin to get your day started.
Yeah,
Um, but
goes.
uh, some right. Some of that, has all been linked to that small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and because it's like it starts to grow like higher and higher up in the intestinal tract. Anyway, it's getting a little bit off topic, but the point is, like I said, that we've already known for a long time that the microbiome varies, by exactly the location in the gut, and the other thing is that the gut microbiome can even change throughout the day. And even like your activity levels and everything all have an influence on your gut microbiome. So we have a quick question. Study somewhere that only 10 to 20% of your body's waste comes out in your stool. Is this accurate? I'm not actually sure how to answer that because it can depend on what they're measuring and what their unit of measurement is. But I mean, if you think about it, it's like your skin. is your skin is your largest.
Organ.
It's actually your muscles by weight are the largest organ, but by surface area is the
Yeah.
skin. And, and your skin is responsible for,
Excretion.
quite a bit of, you're thinking about like everything that all the metabolites from through sweat and body oils and all that kind of stuff that happen through the skin. Uh, it depends if you want to look at, I mean, is even breathing,
Yeah.
you're eliminating waste, not only, basically when you lose weight, like all that fat that you're quote unquote burning, actually you break it down into like ATP, the body's energy, and then the carbon atoms that get broken off from, because body fat is just a hydrocarbon, right? I mean, it's just like oil, right? And so when your body like breaks off like the hydrogen and carbon to turn it into ATP, that free carbon gets attached to an oxygen molecule and you breathe it out. So you literally like breathe out your burned body fat. But as far as like overall, like I said, it depends on how they're measuring that. So but it's generally speaking, as far as like antibiotics. So not antibiotics, probiotics. Let's kind of talk about some things. So I see that you're sipping on a kombucha. Why?
I do it because I like the taste. But as you were talking, I was like, remember we used to talk about kefir all the time?
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to start doing coconut kefir. This lady had written, sent me all these recipes to make like basically homemade soda from coconut kefir. And I let my grains go bad, and I was thinking about what the probiotic benefits were to having kefir, even if you do milk. Like I'm not above drinking milk kefir. Uh, it's dairy, it's bad, but
Right.
I'm like, hey man, if I'm not healthy, I can't go save the world.
Right. Um,
To steal a line from Paul Check.
right. Well, and I think that there's, I mean, it depends on, it's whether you're, like what I like to call like a political vegan, or whether you're just a vegan for or plant-based for like health reasons. Then you can look at the differences between like fermented dairy and like or like regular compared to regular dairy, just like soy, right? There's a difference between fermented soy products and straight up soy. Uh, but yeah, you know what? Like I think probably the number one thing, like you already hit the nail on the head. You like the taste, right? So, it's like
This is the best one, man. This watermelon kombucha,
watermelon.
man, it's so good. Only
I haven't
place to
tried,
get it from here is freaking Walmart in Ashland City, middle of
right?
nowhere.
I haven't tried that particular one. I mean, I used to drink some of their stuff like back in the day, and then I kind of got away from the kombucha now because like if I'm going to use something like that, I use just like a shot of the apple cider vinegar.
Mhm,
Um, because I like it for the effects on my stomach. I use it more as medicine.
mhm.
And because I do worry a little bit about, because the kombucha, I mean, it's vinegar.
Yeah.
I mean, it's live. It's a raw vinegar, but it's essentially just a vinegar. What sometimes people will call it like a drinking vinegar. And so I worry a little bit about the effects of the acid on my tooth enamel, like drinking that much kombucha. So I got away from that. But this is one of the things about this study that, like coming back to the study, was one of the things that I didn't like based off of my initial review of it. And that was when I did the math, they were only using 5 billion colony forming units. And that's compared to like some of the better probiotic supplements that are available. Because I think they used like an over the counter probiotic supplement, but again, I think we've talked about this many times, is that like not all supplements are created equal.
Yeah.
So it's like when you're looking for, or if you're looking for a probiotic supplement, you want to find one with high colony forming units. And I think the one that I found, I can't remember if it was like 100 billion or 400 billion colony forming units, was the highest level of colony forming units that I was able to find in an over the counter probiotic. And so that's orders of magnitude different than 5 billion colony forming units.
What do
So
you I'm sorry.
go, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, what do you think about the people that like they'll buy a probiotic supplement and then they'll make their own yogurt and just like sprinkle it in their homemade yogurt?
Yeah, well, uh, I was kind of bringing it around in that direction. Is that like long term? My gut instinct on this is that food sources of probiotics is going to be the way to go versus supplementation. So like you might need to do some supplementation like real quick. So for instance, again, in precision nutrition, like part of the like official guidelines of precision nutrition as an organization is that quite often they will recommend probiotic supplementation to help people get their gut microbiome straightened out, because it's like, like bringing it back to the old saying is like, you are what you eat, right? But that's only partially true. Actually, it's like you are what you eat, digest, and absorb. And the gut microbiome plays a huge role in how much you digest and absorb. And of course, also the gut microbiome plays a big role in now what they're calling intestinal permeability, which is in other words, like leaky gut. So that again, so my kind of my outlook on this thing is that supplementing with probiotics to change the population of your gut microbiome, for me, is maybe not the primary purpose, and is not the way necessarily to go about it long term. I think some of the research has shown that supplementing with probiotics is probably a good idea, again, to help restore what they call the endothelial lining. In other words, is to help restore the mucus, the thickness of the mucus in your gut. Because like a lot of the food sensitivities and autoimmune stuff and allergies that people are experiencing is actually from the irritation that's gone on in the gut. And so like I said, changing the population of your gut microbiome through supplementation is probably not. In other words, I think this study was asking some of the wrong question. Like the study was looking at does supplementation change the diversity in the population of your gut microbiome? And so then Neil had sent me the link because the title of the post about it, again, because what everybody, they take a study or they take two studies and then they turn it into something inflammatory, right? So like the title of the article on IFL Science was, "We have extremely bad news for you about probiotics." Well, that's misinterpreting the study results, like right off the top of like right out of the gate, right? Then again, like I said, the second thing was, in my salute, in my opinion, the study was asking some of the wrong questions, right? Because the study wasn't looking at, like I said, what were the effects of the supplementation on the endothelial lining, for example. There's been other studies on the supplementation of probiotics on leptin levels, and which help as basically like your hunger and fullness cues, right? The hormone that is involved with your hunger.
Yeah, leptin.
And so, like I said, you have to understand the research results in context of like what was the question that the researchers were asking. So, and then, like I said, is that so supplementation is probably not the best approach to if we're talking about repopulating the gut microbiome, then supplementation is probably not the best way to go about that anyway. It's going to be through what? Through diet, through what you're eating and your food choices. It's like we know for sure that like your dietary choices also have an impact on the gut microbiome, probably more than anything. And so, for me, I'm going to be eating a lot of fermented foods. And again, so rather than like through supplementation, I'm going to be trying to get my probiotics through fermented foods. So I have like a huge batch of sauerkraut brewing right now. And, because it's like once I started going a little bit more towards keto and the low carb thing, it was like I found that I needed that pop of acid with my meal, especially like towards the end of the day. It was like I was eating plenty of vegetables, but just like that little shot of something fermented and acidic at the end of the day really helped like bring the meal together for me. Which I think I've said everything that is like I want to say about this. Like come back to food, like real food, real food, real food. Like eat real foods. But that kind of brings me out because that made me think of something that I was watching somebody else's video on. It was a full day of eating video, but they were emulating somebody else. So like they were honest about it. They were like, okay, this is a full day of eating like Dr. Berg style. Like I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Berg, but he's kind of like he's pretty well known in the keto community. But so based on what I was seeing in this video, so like it could have been inaccurate, but I'm assuming that it was accurate. He's one of those people that doesn't eat like a regular person and probably never has. You know what I'm saying? Like he's one of those people that I mean this is just my interpretation, but it's like I mean like I said like people don't eat like macronutrients, right? They sit down and they eat a meal. They eat tacos, they eat burritos, they eat steak and potatoes, they eat, like whatever, right? They sit down and they have a meal, not macronutrients. And, like people maybe like you and I, or other people that are like really deep into like body composition type of stuff, I mean, they might just like sit down and do a meal plan based exclusively like on the macronutrient profile of those foods. And when I was watching like what I was like, man, that like this guy, and I think another one is like Dr. Rhonda Patrick. You know her name?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, she's been on the Joe Rogan show a couple times, and she has like her own podcast called Found My Fitness, and she's she's a PhD. So it's like her podcast is pretty niche. I mean, it's like you got to be like deep into that world. It's kind of a rabbit hole type podcast. Like I said, she's PhD. So, and she like her podcast is kind of operating like at that kind of like master's degree, PhD level kind of mentality. It's not like for general population. And she was doing some things with like some broccoli sprouts where it was like she has like a whole setup where it's like she sprouts her own broccoli sprouts, which I do too. And then, it's like like the research has indicated that if you want to like make the sulforaphane in the broccoli sprouts, like the most bioavailable is that they need to be soaked at 180 degrees for 10 minutes. So she has like a digital uh, electric kettle that she programs it for exactly the right temperature and steeps the broccoli sprouts for just that length of time, and then eats them like that. And I'm like, that that's not a meal.
Mm.
Like that's not, I mean, it's whole food, but I mean that's not the way that people eat food,
Yeah,
right? So
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing
uh
that.
right. Well, I mean, I actually I kind of do, but not like that. I mean, uh I try to use my broccoli sprouts as my veggie portion, and I put it in with my beef bone broth. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I make a soup out of it. Like I try to heat my broth up to like the right temperature, and then
Hey,
go
do you
ahead.
make your own bone broth?
Yeah, I do.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
want to start. I'm seeing how much vegetable broth I bought this week, and I'm like, I think I might need to learn how to make this myself. Either that or start using better than bouillon. But I'm worried about like the sodium in that.
Well, you got one of those instant pots, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you should be able to make veggie broth in that pretty easy.
yeah.
So,
Because
I
I
mean, it
was
just
that's what I've been buying. So it's did I tell you about my potato, like my sweet potato soup I just started making?
no.
Oh man, it's so good. Packed full of. So like I just throw a bunch of like vegetables in my food processor, and then I like saute them in the instant pot, and then put like 4 cups of vegetable broth. Then I just chop up sweet potatoes in the cubes or however, you just throw them in there and put it in for 15 minutes. Oh man, it's so good. The last time I did yellow and red onions, like 4 carrots, 4 stalks of celery, and some cilantro. Oh, cud. Oh man, because I don't like sweet potatoes. So
Right.
when I did
See,
them
I
in,
I,
oh
I love them
man,
actually.
I don't like sweet. It's funny, like oh Prince is vegan. He's like, I don't like sweet stuff. If I eat something sweet, it's fruit.
Right.
I don't like sweet stuff.
Right. Well,
That's
that's
why I
good.
was gonna say, like, I think I'm gonna go keto in January and February. Um, now that I know how to make tofu to like taste like chicken and fish,
Right.
thanks to the Rosatron, cheap lazy vegan, I learned how to do that from her.
Nice. Um, but yeah, so and when I was looking at this thing with like Dr. Berg, it's like like I said, I don't think he eats like his mind is he's on another level. I mean, he's just like, okay, I'm gonna eat like this many cups of vegetables like all in one meal, and like this meal is just this stuff, and it's like not even like it's not what I would call a meal, even
Actually,
in sense of keto. But here's the real kicker.
Steve Maxwell does that.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably
Kinda.
another one.
Yeah, kinda.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, I
he
could.
uh, he'll say this is like my fruit meal, this is my protein meal, this is my fat meal. Like he
Right,
doesn't like measure it out, but
right,
that's where he is now. And
right.
he was a hardcore keto guy when he was still with the RKC. Like,
Yeah.
you know, this is uh this is my steak and what's my vegetable? Oh, my vegetable is chicken.
uh, he was more on the keto, or I mean, not keto. He was more on the carnivore plan. That sounds like, but yeah. Oh, that's what I was gonna say was that the estimated cost of like a full day of eating like Dr. Berg was $39 a day. I'm like, that's my budget for a week for, I mean, for one person, I got 5 people that I'm feeding, but so basically, like by the breakdown, it's like $40 a person per week is what I'm living on, and so I was like $40 a day. Yeah, because like his breakfast was just like 4 eggs fried, a whole avocado, and a bunch of like high end, super clean bacon. Which that was like a third. The cost of the bacon was a third of like the total cost of the day. And then he hit himself with a shot of fish oil, vitamin D supplement, which was an insane amount. It was like 30,000 international units of vitamin D a day, which right now I'm supplementing with 5,000. And like I've heard a lot of people saying like 10,000 is kind of like a good level to be shooting for.
Yeah, my doctor had me on little 20,000 units. Man,
Right,
I need to hit up the VA. I bet I could get so much shit from the VA for free. I
right.
need to, yeah, she had me on them from the VA, like out of pharmacy. I need to
Yeah,
hit them
because I
up.
mean we were talking about vitamin D last week,
Yeah.
and but that's when my camera, phone, whatever crashed on me, and so I got dropped during that. But I was going to say that because it was like 40 to 60% of Americans are deficient in vitamin D, especially if you're darker skinned. Because the high melanin content in your skin means that it takes more exposure for you to generate the same amount of vitamin D. So if you're darker skinned, it's a good idea, but even more important for you to be making sure be up on your vitamin D game, either like getting out in the sun for like a good 30 or 40 minutes, like uh, upper body exposure. Anyway, that's getting off topic, but and then he did like a shot of wheatgrass and then like a big like just bowl full of greens. And I mean, it's not that any of those were all that bad, like by themselves, but it was just I don't know, maybe it was just the way that these guys put it together, uh, that it didn't come across to me like I mean, like I said, it just didn't seem like a sitting down to like a real meal, at least when like when I put my salads together, I mean, it's like I take some time into, like the presentation, even though it's like I'm the one that's going to be eating it, but it's like, you kind of eat with your eyes first, right? It's like even, uh, uh, that response in the brain, like that anticipatory response in the brain to like what you're eating, it's like taking your time, preparing the meal, it's like now I'm getting hungry because I haven't eaten yet today. But
Yeah, I
but
haven't
it's like
either.
uh it's like there's a lot that goes into it, not just like, okay, here is the macronutrient ratio, this protein, fat, and carbs. Here's my protein, here's my fat, here's my carbs. It's like people don't eat that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I don't. The majority of people don't eat that way. It's like there's a slim margin of people that it's like, like Arnold Schwarzenegger is one of them. I think that dude from athleanx.com, Jeff Cavalier, super, super lean dude.
But
Uh,
he's selling a product.
right,
Most of the people that I see who are that meticulous figure competitors, because Samiko would walk around with a scale when she was competing. I'm pretty sure she does it now, but she still, because that's how Samiko is. Um, she enjoys herself. Um, but the Athlean X guy, I mean, Athlean X, he's the face of his brand. He's got to be lean.
right,
And I'm not saying I don't think he enjoys doing that. I mean, hell, if he's making 10 grand or more on you just off of YouTube, and then probably more with the stuff his products that he's selling, hey man, that his business allows him to be able to be that meticulous. Arnold is a freak. Oh, did you see the trailer for that Arnold, that Schwarzenegger biopic?
No.
Oh man, I meant to I gotta share it on Facebook when we get off of here. Because Tyler Hoechlin, who actually plays Superman in the Arrowverse, is Joe White. The movie's supposed to be about Joe and his brother, the Weidler guys, and how they changed um, the fitness industry. But then it's called an Arnold Schwarzenegger biopic, and I'm like, wait a minute, is it about the Weidler brothers or is it about Arnold? And I guess it's they helped Arnold come up in that change the. But yeah, man, I think it comes out October 12th. So yeah, I definitely want to see that. It looks like it's gonna be really good.
Yeah, that should be interesting. Who's playing Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I don't know. I saw it because Mei-Ling, my friend that played in Wonder Woman and everything, she posted it because she met Arnold and she competed she represented Singapore in the Arnolds before she got into the movie industry. And when I saw it, I was like, hey, that's Superman. That's Tyler Hoechlin, because he's gonna be he's playing Superman in the big Arrow crossover in December. And I was like, is that, then they mentioned something about Arnold Schwarzenegger as like a kid and getting ready. And I was like, me being urban acolyte, comic book, TV show, movie geek, I'm like, hey man, that's Superman. That's Superman. Right. I didn't even give a shit about Arnold. I was like, that's Superman. The one thing I hate about my channel is people have no idea how much I love Superman. Like none of this, I wouldn't be doing no public speaking, nothing if not for Superman. But my grandma used to bribe me to speak in church with Superman toys. Freaking, like the superpowers when there was the Super Friends, and he had the Superman, you squeeze his legs and he do like this. And then I had the one that had the Superman with the magnet in his chest. You had the magnet like Lex Luthor, kryptonite ring, and when you put it next to him, he follow. Man, I love the fuck out of Superman. I thought I had a Superman toy over here, but I don't. I've been meaning to get. I got my man Captain America. I've been meaning to get the Superman version of this, but I got Cap.
That looks old school right there.
Yeah, I got Cap. Got the shield and everything. I got Cap. I got T'Challa. I was gonna start a kids YouTube channel and had these. That's why I got all these toys right here. And I just never got around to doing it. It's too much work.
Right. Well, speaking of too much work, I think it's about that time.
Yeah, I gotta go record up in the booth since it's raining, man. I can't work out. No, don't let that. Don't allow outside things to set your narrative. It's raining. That means it's not 100 degrees in the booth, so I can go record scripted videos for you Urban Acolyte folks. And actually, all those videos aren't even going to be on Urban Acolyte TV. Not yet. Maybe I'll bust out a script for a video, get it done tonight. I know you got work to do. How does it feel to be done with all the case studies?
Feels good. But at the same time, I mean, it feels good to be done with the case studies for the course. But now, I mean, basically, I'll be doing a case study every week for the show. So I'm done, but not done.
That's for money.
Right.
That's for money. Oh yeah, and I can go edit the shows because it's not going to be cold. It's going to be raining tomorrow too. Like under flash flood watch until like noon tomorrow.
Oh, stay dry.
Work out in the garage and edit.
Right. You got that whole legit garage gym.
Yeah.
But all right, so
some legit garage gym money.
Right. All right. So where do you want people to find out more about what you got going on?
If you're into geek stuff, there's the Urban Acolyte community over on Facebook. If you're more interested in the martial arts and fitness and nutrition stuff, I should probably add you to this group. I've had it for years. It's pretty dead over there because it's nothing but old clients who, I'm not gonna say anything about my old clients, but I'm the only one that's been posting there for years. I have the Golden Belt Training Dojo group on Facebook. I'm gonna add that to the video description, and I probably should add you over there, Ash. Like I said, I've been running that group for like 3 or 4 years now, and it's been dead. So the ladies that I used to train, sorry, but I'm gonna start adding people who actually are interested in fitness, and I post I reshare recipe videos. It's mostly all vegetarian stuff because I go over there and actually like try them out. Uh,
Right.
but I'd like to get more engagement there, get things popping. So I'm telling you guys about it here on the podcast and on the Golden Belt Training Dojo channel. That's where I'm going to ask people to come to continue the conversation and ask questions, because YouTube comments can be a dumpster fire, and to keep myself in a positive state of mind, I'm spending less time engaging with the comments other than just saying, hey, thanks. Actually, I'm just going to reply, hey, thanks to anything, whether it's good, bad, whatever, and keep it moving.
Right.
And the people who really want to holler at me on Facebook. If you're not on Facebook, I don't know. Keep watching. Maybe I'll see what's in the comments when I'm saying, hey, thanks for watching, and keep it moving.
If anybody wants to meet up with me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at AshHiggs. Keep an eye on my website, innerstrengthgym.com, for my coaching program to go on pre-sale. That's all I got for this week. What about you?
That's all I got. Time to sign off and get back to work.
All right, sounds good. Let's wrap it up. Everybody, thanks for watching. If you're on Twitter and iTunes, or if you're on Stitcher and iTunes, and you're listening to the show, don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating. That helps a lot. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining in with us this week. We'll catch you next time.